I don't know how many red flags we need here, brother. It ain't gonna work against NFL level, safeties and linebackers.
There's just so much upside there. I don't know how they're going to keep these guys off the field.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Real quick, any takeaways from these rookie quarterbacks? Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson.
I think everybody looked all right from especially Fields and Lance, man, looked really exciting. I don't know how they're going to keep these guys off the field. It just like Justin Fields too. I think drafters have been pretty excited about Trey Lance. Like best ball drafters have been willing to take him pretty aggressively because there's just so much upside there. But even with Justin Fields, man, like the one thing that I thought watching him, and I don't want to hear like, oh, it's against backups. Like we know it's against backups. Thanks for that interesting tidbit.
He's also throwing to backups though.
He's throwing to backups, playing behind a backup offensive line. Like he's working with backups against bbackups. We get it, Brainiacs. Thanks for helping us out there. Right. The one thing you can really get is like playing style. And I thought Fields looked like he brought energy to the offense. He brought like that ability on the move. And that's the thing that really is going to be so interesting for these guys, especially Allen Robinson, but even like Darnell Mooney or David Montgomery as a pass catcher. Like the ability to sort of play off script, the ability to create out of structure, that's going to, I think, increase the ceiling for a guy like Allen Robinson, because we've seen Robinson operating at a great floor the last couple of years. He's been right there among like the top 12 wide receivers in fantasy because he's caught a lot of passes because the targets are designed to go his way. But that was what struck me especially about Justin Fields was the improvisational, the off script stuff. That's going to increase like downfield shots to Robinson on free plays and stuff like that. That's going to be really interesting to watch.
My one takeaway from Justin Fields, obviously this kid can move. And when we're talking about fantasy football, rushing floors for fantasy quarterbacks it's just unfair, So when he gets on the field, obviously he brings with him pretty high upside. The one thing I noticed from a tendency standpoint, two things actually, he did favor a lot of checkdowns. He was very safe with the football, and not saying that he didn't go for it when he saw opportunities, because he did, and that's what I like too. The fact that he can fire some things downfield, which is great arm talent. It was the arm talent's so obvious, man. Like so Jesus obvious. Christ, like the guy can actually, chuck it. But the checkdowns was something that I kind of sort of saw and was intrigued by. Like, is that a role that would increase David Montgomery's floor considerably and his ceiling? Like, that's something that entered my calculus now, whereas like I wasn't really high on David Montgomery before. But with Justin Fields, if he is prone to some of these, little checkdowns out of scrambles, like, man, that can add to a running back's reception floor pretty significantly and pretty quickly. So that's something that I kind of sort of kept in mind. And my God, can they coach this kid not to spin on runs, please? Like, bro, like he broke ribs in college on a spin move. Trey Lance, again, wheels, decent arm strength. Yeah, like those things were good. Good
on the 49ers, though, like, man, Trey Sermon, that was pretty exciting because he drew the start. Obviously, Raheem Mostert is not playing, but
right.
I mean, still, like, there was no Trey Sermon, Wayne Gallman committee. He played 10 of 12 snaps with the first team. Got pass catching work too. Again, that will change obviously when Raheem Mostert is back. Trey Sermon, man, if he is going to get like the 1A role in this committee, I keep saying this, like this is a guy to draft. Like I made some changes to the tiers today. I bumped him up an entire tier up to running back 21, running back tier 5. Like James, let me tell you what, when are you going to want to start? Like how many times are you going to want to start Trey Sermon over a guy like Kareem Hunt or Josh Jacobs or Mike Davis? Like even in week 1, damn Trey Sermon, if he's going to be the RB1 of this team, they get the Lions in week 1. Like I know week 1 seems like forever away. It's not forever away. Josh Jacobs gets Baltimore. You know, like Mike Davis, we don't even know what that offense is going to look like. Kareem Hunt, you can't even project to lead the team in touches, you know? So I bumped him ahead of all of those guys. I just want to be ahead of consensus on Trey Sermon because I think by the end of the year, he's going to be like considered an every single week starter. So if you can draft him now, you can be patient a little bit. I don't think it's going to be one of those situations with like, remember all those years ago when Nick Chubb was getting drafted pretty aggressively, but like Carlos Hyde started the first 2 months of the season and like everybody cut Nick Chubb and then had to re-add him at the end of the year. I don't think it's going to be that dramatic of a split. I think it'll at least be a committee situation with Trey Sermon potentially being the 1A sooner rather than later.
Either way, I just want a piece of this backfield. I don't care how I do it, man. Like, honestly. And you know how last year Kareem Hunt and both backs in that backfield were playable, right? Like, and I think in San Francisco, I kind of sort of think it's going to be the same way. Are we forgetting how explosive Raheem Mostert was when he was healthy? Like, this guy can absolutely fly. So he needs not that many touches to be a viable fantasy asset. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about price, Mostert going, you know, in like round 5, 6, and then Trey Sermon going a full round after Mostert. Yeah, you're getting better value, obviously, with Trey Sermon because you're basically getting the same player, in my opinion, but you're getting him around later. So value-wise, Sermon is the better, you know, value in fantasy football. And I totally agree with that. Listen, you're just investing in the best run system in football.